Remember that Nvidia-Groq deal we covered? Well, the plot just got a whole lot thicker, because what Nvidia's calling a licensing agreement is looking more and more like the most brilliant corporate chess move of 2025. And, analysts are calling it out for what it really is, an acquisition in disguise that might just redefine how tech giants dodge regulators while crushing competition. Let's dive into what happened after the headlines. Here's what makes this deal absolutely wild. Just 3 months ago, Groq raised $750 million at a $6.9 billion valuation. Investors included BlackRock, Samsung, and even 1,789 Capital, where Donald Trump Jr. is a partner. Fast forward to December 24th, Christmas Eve, and Nvidia drops $20 billion on them. That's nearly 3 times their valuation in just 90 days. But here's where it gets spicy. 90% of Groq's employees are joining Nvidia. We're talking about founder Jonathan Ross, the guy who helped create Google's TPU chip specifically designed to compete with Nvidia. We're talking about President Sunny Madra. Basically, everyone who made Groq what it is now works for Nvidia. And Groq shareholders. They're getting paid. 85% upfront, another 10% mid-2026, and the rest by year's end. All at that $20 billion valuation. This is the biggest payday in Groq's short existence. Now here's where Nvidia is playing 4D chess. Jensen Huang sent an internal email to employees saying, and I quote, "Mawam, sakatsufer namans. We are not acquiring Groq as a company, they're licensing the IP and hiring the talent. Groq continues to exist as an independent company under a new CEO." One Bernstein analyst called this deal structured to keep the fiction of competition alive. Another from Hedgeye Risk Management was even more blunt. This is essentially an acquisition without being labeled one to avoid regulatory scrutiny. Think about it. When you're the world's first $5 trillion company with over 80% market share in AI training chips, buying your competition tends to attract attention from antitrust regulators. But, if you structure it as a non-exclusive licensing deal with an acqui-hire, suddenly it's just business as usual. As one analyst put it, they're so big now they can do a $20 billion deal on Christmas Eve, with no press release, and nobody bats an eye. So, what was Nvidia really buying? Groq makes LPUs, language processing units, while Nvidia's GPUs dominate AI training, they're general-purpose platforms. LPUs are specialized chips designed specifically for AI inference, which is, the process where trained AI models actually generate outputs. And here's the uncomfortable truth for Nvidia: the AI market is rapidly shifting from training to inference. As more companies move from building models to actually deploying them at scale, inference becomes the bigger opportunity. And specialized chips like Groq's LPUs might actually be better at it than GPUs. Bank of America analyst Vivek Arya said this deal shows Nvidia recognizes that while GPUs dominated AI training, the rapid shift toward inference could require more specialized chips. In other words, Nvidia saw the writing on the wall and decided to eliminate the threat before it became a real problem. Groq was founded by former Google engineers who built the TPU, Google's chip designed to compete with Nvidia. These people knew how to challenge Nvidia's dominance, so Nvidia just hired all of them. Some analysts think $20 billion seems expensive for a non-exclusive licensing deal, but let's put this in perspective. Nvidia has $61 billion in cash and a market cap of $4.6 trillion. This deal costs them about 82 cents per share. It's pocket change. One analyst compared this to Nvidia's Mellanox acquisition back in 2020 for $7 billion, which became the foundation of their networking and AI scaling advantage. If the Groq deal plays out similarly, we could see future Nvidia systems where GPUs and LPUs work together in the same data center rack, connected through Nvidia's NVLink technology. Imagine that, the training powerhouse and the inference specialist, working together seamlessly, all controlled by one company. That's not just maintaining dominance, that's cementing it for the next decade. And here's the kicker: Nvidia just did a similar deal in September with another AI hardware startup called Fabrica, spending over $900 million to hire their CEO and license their technology. This is becoming their playbook. This is the same strategy we're seeing from Meta, Google, Microsoft, and Amazon. Spend billions to acquire talent and technology through licensing deals that fly under the regulatory radar. It's faster, cleaner, and avoids the year-long antitrust reviews that come with traditional acquisitions. But here's what nobody's talking about. This might be the new normal for how tech giants maintain their monopolies. Not by crushing competitors in the marketplace, but by absorbing them before they become a real threat. By the time regulators figure out what's happening, the deal is done and the talent is already integrated. So what looked like a simple licensing deal is actually Nvidia executing a masterclass in corporate strategy. Identify the competitive threat, neutralize it with your massive cash reserves, structure it to avoid regulatory scrutiny, and integrate the technology to dominate both current and future markets. This is how you stay on top in 2025. If you want to catch these stories before they explode and understand what's really happening behind the headlines, smash that subscribe button right now. We're breaking down the tech deals that will shape the next decade, and trust me, this is just the beginning. Drop a comment below. Is this brilliant strategy, or should regulators be investigating? Let's talk about it. See you in the next one.